Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Mike Francesa podcast on the Bet Rivers Network, brought to you by Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos Tequila is brought to you by those who drink it. We come to you this Saturday evening into Sunday morning on the Mike Francesa channel on the Bet Rivers Network on YouTube after the Yankees completed their 5-game series, their ALCS 5-game win over the Indians to earn their first trip to the World Series since way back in 2009. And since the moment that he arrived with the Yankees, since the moment that he joined Judge in the lineup, joined Judge in the outfield, uh, this is what Yankee fans have dreamt about. They have dreamt about having a left-handed power hitter who could help return them to glory, maybe put them over the top in big spots. And if you go through this season, remember, after a very fast start where the Yankees jumped out to 20 games over 500, the Yankees didn't play very good baseball for the rest of the season. They weren't bad late, but let's be honest, for about 3 months there, they were dreadful. They were under 500. They were losing at home. They were losing to bad clubs. They were listless, despite the fact that Judge and Soto were both having MVP seasons, and Judge was having a season for the ages. Um, the Yankee fan hoped that this year would be different in the postseason. Now, they did get a couple of breaks in that the teams they matched up the most adversely against the Astros and the Orioles are not here. But those teams got beat by teams who were here, and the Yankees were able to handle those. And they did it the way the Yankees put it up: power, power, more power. Power pitching, hopefully, power hitting. And in baseball nowadays, having power arms in your bullpen and having power in your lineup is how you win postseason games. The Yankees overwhelmed the Indians with power. Soto and Stanton in game one, Judge in game two, Judge and Stanton in game three, Soto, Wells, and Stanton in game four, Stanton and Soto in game five. Stanton has put on a show. So did Soto, who had 3 home runs in the series. Stanton with 4 home runs in the series. Judge with 2 home runs in the series, all having their major clutch moments. And then Soto putting the finishing touch with a 3-run home run to center field in extra innings to make it a 5-game series win for the Yankees, making it a very comfortable ALCS and giving them some time to crack open the champagne, revel in the joy of making the World Series for the first time in a decade and a half, and then having time to sit back, watch the NL still battle. Although obviously right now it looks Dodgers. Hey, maybe the Mets have a couple of miracles left in them, and getting ready next week for a World Series and going in there very rested and very much dedicated to trying to see if they can finish the job in the World Series. But the goal all year, anything short of a World Series, was going to be a bit of disappointment. You knew early on the team was going to make the postseason. The team was not a great team. We know that. It was top heavy. The lineup was top heavy. You were really relying on 2 guys. Stanton was gone for long periods of time. And then, let's be honest, he has cemented his postseason legacy with what he has done here. I mean, he is the most prolific per at bat home run hitter in the history of postseason baseball, even ahead of Babe Ruth. What he has done in this series was extraordinary. What Soto has done in this series was extraordinary. And Judge did just enough to get people to leave him alone in the postseason. Obviously, he has still more work to do, but it was about power. Hey, the Yankee bullpen was very good, and then for a couple of days it wasn't. It was better than the highly touted, extraordinarily impressive Cleveland bullpen, which struggled mightily in this series and gave up a ton of Yankee long balls. But the Yankees did it by hitting 10 home runs in a 5 game series, and one was bigger than the next. Home runs in tie games, home runs from behind, home runs to win games, home runs to get the team back out in front, home runs to send messages. The bottom line is they did it with their power, which is the way the Yankees have always done things and the way they were built to do it this year. And they clearly have three premier power hitters in the lineup in Soto, Judge, and Stanton, with Stanton taking his in the postseason, taking his rightly place, if not next to, maybe even in front of these guys, considering what he was able to do. Don't for a second minimize his home run in this game. It was enormous. I mean, he was 0-2. They hadn't done anything all night. He was 0-2. They tried twice in a row to get him out with pitches way off the plate. He didn't bite. They threw him a pitch inside. He didn't bite. And then they came back into the strike zone with a pitch that did not do its job and clearly got way too much of the plate, and he deposited it with the kind of authority that only he can to tie the game up and make it a very different game. Then the Yankees got very good performance out of their bullpen, but remember, Cleveland, their game tonight was the game they draw up. They want to win this game in 9 innings. They don't want to keep waiting till the Yankees finally explode to where they finally get you. And the Yankees getting that order back around to Soto, you knew was trouble. I never for a second thought Soto would fail there. I didn't think he'd hit a home run. I did think very strongly that he would get a base hit. They aren't going to walk him there and pitch the Judge. They're not going to do that. So they're going to pitch to him there. And to me, he is going to be on every single pitch in every at bat, and he's going to hit the ball hard somewhere. Like I said, did I think he hit a home? I didn't. But I did think he'd get a base hit there, and I thought he would provide the lead right there in that spot once the lineup rotated around to him again, and give them credit for what they were able to do. Now, did they get a break? Yeah, but listen, you make breaks. The other team cracks under pressure. The Indians needed to play perfect defense in this series if they were going to push the Yankees along. They didn't. The Indians were going to have to get brilliant performances out of their relievers. They didn't. And that's why it was a 5 game series, because lineup wise, there's no comparison. Power wise, there's no comparison. And now the Yankees get to sit back, wait and see if it will be either a dramatic series or an even more dramatic series. There is no way this is not a World Series that people can't wait to get their arms around. It either is the Yankees and the Dodgers, power against power, star power against star power, Judge against Otani, Betts and Soto, and obviously Stanton. Now we don't know about Freddie Freeman. He has looked really bad, and he is clearly hurting. I don't know if he will be a factor or not, but they have plenty of other guys in that lineup who can take up supporting roles and be big players, including Kiki Hernandez, including Max Muncy, including Teoscar. So they have guys there who can do it. It would have been nice if Freddie Freeman was healthy, but I don't think that's going to happen if it is them. And if it's not them, then it's the Mets. And not only will it be the Mets, it will be the Mets off an incredible get off the mat comeback against the Dodgers, being left for dead down 3 games to 1 and then rallying to win it, which would be one for the ages. And you would have a team of destiny against the Bombers in what would be as classic a series as you could ever script. So, like I said, it's either dramatic or more dramatic. And for Yankee fans, you can almost hear the collective sigh throughout the metropolitan area because Yankee fans, who, yes, think this is a birthright, and Yankee fans who do front run, and Yankee fans who have waited a very, very long time for this. It has been a long time coming, and there has been bitter disappointment over bitter disappointment. And you can't count how many times Yankee fans wanted Cashman gone, wanted Boone gone. And you know what? They weren't always wrong. There were opportunities to jettison those guys and start fresh. It would not have been a rash decision by ownership, but it was something that ownership does not believe in as much as George always had his hand on the trigger. Hal never has his hand on the trigger. It's not what he believes in. He believes in staying the course. He does it differently. He gets a lot of criticism, and he hasn't had the success that his father has had. Now, he may judge success a little differently than his father did. He may judge it more in economic and business terms than his father did. His father judged it in terms of championships, which is the way fans judge it. Because for fans, they don't have an economic stake in this thing. The only economic stake they have is when they go in their pocket to buy expensive tickets or take their kids to games that cost a lot of money for parking and for souvenirs and for concessions and for Yankee jerseys and hats at Christmas time and everything else. Everything that has an NY on it is not cheap. We know that. And you know, when you walk around this town, you never don't see a steady flow of that NY everywhere. It's never, ever not around. Other teams come and go. That one is always there. Now, will it be more pronounced now? Has it been more pronounced? Absolutely. Will it be more pronounced in the next couple of weeks? Yes. Absolutely. There's no question about that. That's what happens when you get to a World Series. And this will clearly energize this base. And again, there's going to be a lot about Soto's future. You know what? That can wait until after this World Series is over. You're not going to get the answer you want right now. Yes, has the price gone up? I don't know that the price can go up anymore. He's going to get his money somewhere. I don't think there's any question about that. The only question is who's going to do the bidding and who's going to do the bidding that wins the day. Is he locked in to here? I don't know. We don't know the answer to any of that right now. What we know is he came here with something to prove. He came here with a resume. He came here already proven that he could win. And he came here to make a difference, and he has. There's no question. He's done everything you could ask him to do here. He's been better than advertised. And that's when you're talking about someone who came with a tremendous reputation and big things were expected to have him exceed those this year and in these postseason games says a lot about his performance. He has been there and he has done it time and time and time again. And Judge obviously had to answer the bell, and he finally did with the home run against Clase that got him out of the doghouse and ended all the conversation. Did he have a great series? No. Will he have a great World Series? Maybe. Maybe he'll hit 400 with, 5 homers. Who knows? Maybe he won't get a hit. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how it plays out. But he has already had his moment. and there'll be more. And then you have Stanton, who, let's be honest, has been incredibly maligned. I never, ever wanted Stanton to be part of this team, not for a day. Didn't want him when he was offered. I didn't like where it was going to take the team. I didn't like how it was going to lock up things on the team, make them too right handed, make them unathletic. I didn't like any part of it. I've said that from the beginning, but there's no disputing that he has been, to this point, an outstanding postseason player in this year, an all time postseason player. What he did in this series and has done in this postseason isn't good. It's extraordinary. It's the stuff of legends. And let's be honest, if he was on the wrong side of the Hall of Fame, his performance in this postseason has put him on the other side because it matters, and his numbers are staggering in the postseason. They're not good; they're staggering. His power numbers are staggering, and that will carry him a very long way. And he's not done yet, and he is playing with a confidence and with a swagger, with a bravado that you don't see very often. I was never the biggest Reggie Jackson fan, but it's almost Reggie Jackson like. And in the postseason, that's a compliment. It's, it shades of Big Poppy. And as far as just brute strength and hitting the ball, I mean, he hits it like few guys have ever hit it. He hits it, it's gone. I mean, few guys have ever hit a baseball. I mean, I can think of guys that, were incredibly impressive hitting a baseball, whether it was Mantle, whether it was Richie Allen, whether it Willie McCovey, you can go down the line. This guy ranks with any of them, Harmon Killebrew, go down the line. I mean, this guy can hit it with anybody. Does he look bad sometimes on the field? Yes. Does he look mechanical? And does he look unathletic at times? And does he uh, have slumps? Absolutely. But he has been torrid. He has been overwhelming in this postseason. And to not give him his due would be very unfair. They aren't here without him. That's all there is to it. I mean, that's all there is to it. You can't, Soto had an MVP ALCS. He still was topped by Stanton. That's how good Stanton was. So, I mean, it's extraordinary. And when you have that kind of power, Cleveland's going to say, hey, we can match up with their power. That's all there is to it. We can say our bullpen didn't get the job done, but hey, we couldn't keep the ball in the park. They couldn't keep the ball in the park. And every time they turn around, those guys were there. And talking about maligned, give Torres some credit. We all understand his penchant for getting thrown out to play. Okay. But he has really done a terrific job. And he's always been a good postseason player, and he was very good again in the series. So I would not say that the Yankees ever are playing with house money because they're not. There's always pressure on them to win. And if the Mets are ever standing there will be inordinate pressure on them to win the World Series. If they lost the Classic Series to the Dodgers, could you live with it? You won't like it off what's going on here in this postseason. You want to win, but you could live with it. You couldn't have lived with anything short of the World Series this year. This team had to get back there. I thought there was no question they had to get back there. And now they're here. And they've gotten here without really facing a game that they had to sweat. I mean, they haven't faced anything that dangerous yet. So that may lay ahead. We'll see what lies ahead. We'll see what's going on. We don't have an opponent yet. So all you do right now, from a Yankee standpoint, is revel in going to a World Series for the first time. Most of you, except for the youngest of you that are Yankee fans, have seen them in the World Series. Remember 2009. Remember the Yankees and the Phillies. Some of you might not. Okay, if you're 20 years old, you don't remember it. My boys, who are 19 and 17, they don't remember that series. They were too young. Matter of fact, um, we were in the midst of building a house when, well, we were rebuilding the house that we had purchased um, for 2 years, and we were still in a little. We were staying in an apartment 2 towns over, and the kids were in our room because we didn't have enough rooms. And I just went in and stayed in the city the whole World Series, so that because our place was chaos because had not yet moved into our house. We wound up moving in like a week before Christmas. So that series, I remember being in the city the whole series, and it was. I remember it well, and it was an important one. No one knew at the time how historic that series was, how important it was to the careers of certain players like Aaron, who had such a wonderful postseason that year. But think about what it would have been like if the Yankees hadn't won since 2000 versus winning in 2009. There's a whole list I could go through of people whose careers are different if that series is not won. But still 15 years ago. And when the Yankees go 15 years without getting into a World Series, that is a drought. That is a lot of years wandering, trying to figure out how to get back to the promised land. Well, now they've done it. They brought a guy in they thought could make a difference. And tonight, he struck the final blow. And as he was going around the bases, I thought about his first at bat this year and thought about what people hoped the promise that his presence would bring. And it all came full circle. To this point, there are still 4 more games to win for them and an opponent to emerge. Yes, it's most likely going to be the Dodgers, and that's going to be a heck of a series. But like I said, if the Mets ever pull this off, well, then you're playing not only the Mets, you're playing Destiny's Darlings. And that makes it a whole different set of encyclopedias. There would be an inordinate amount of pressure on the Yankees if the Mets were in the World Series. Dodgers, hey, let's be honest. That's the Yankees have better starting pitching. Dodgers have a more powerful bullpen. They both have big stars. They both have plenty of talent. They got a lot of high priced players, and they have the two best players in the world in the series. So there's so much there to get into, and it's about as even as a series could be. It'd be a heck of a confrontation. But so would the Mets. The Mets would be fun. So now, if you're a Yankee fan, you get to celebrate, you get to sit back, you get to relax, and wait. Tell me this in your heart of hearts. You want the Mets, you want the Dodgers. Honestly, you want the Mets or you want the Dodgers? We'll see you tomorrow.